a grandparent has been one of my very greatest joys. So when my first and only grandson was born in 2002, I grabbed him and I hugged him and I told him I was his yaya and I promised him my unconditional love. Fortunately, I had just retired, so I was able to keep him from Sunday nights until Tuesday nights. And gradually, I turned our house and yard into this oasis of make-believe. And I know some kids have blankets that they carry around, but my guy had a backhoe. It was a yellow plastic Tonka backhoe, and it went everywhere with him, no exceptions. So one day we were going into Michael's because I had decided we would paint a Spider-Man pumpkin for Halloween. And I was looking for the right shade of paint when all of a sudden I heard him shriek, "Yaya, my backhoe is stuck!" And I looked and I plopped him in the seat up there, and somehow the digger part had gotten wedged between a couple bars. Now this should be no problem. So I just twisted and fiddled, and then I pushed and I shoved, and he started yelling, "Yaya, please stop, you're gonna break my backhoe." And it was like the darn thing, it went through the bars and then doubled in size. So by then he's shrieking, and the customers are sort of glaring at us, but I see one man who's not glaring too bad, and I said, "Would you mind helping me? I just have this little problem here with this backhoe." And he made a lame attempt and said, "Lady, there's a Toys R Us right around the corner. Why don't you get him a new one?" Yeah, right. So then I asked the manager if he could just guard the cart while I took Nate and went to the hardware store and got some tools. Well, Nate, who usually didn't understand a word I was saying at 2 years old, was like, "Oh no, you're not gonna leave my backhoe alone in this cart, oh no." By then, tears and snot are running from his eyes to his armpits. And I decide that it's past time for us to make an exit. So I go pushing that cart out to my Subaru Forester, and I try to grab that kid out of that big old cart, and he stiffens up. So I calm down, I wipe the snot and the tears off, and that's when I came up with my plan. I threw that towel right over his head. And while he was floundering around, I grabbed him and I put him in that car seat and I buckled him in. And then I took that cart to the back of that hatch and I shoved that one wheel right into my hatch. And then I kind of positioned this hip against it, and somehow I got that other wheel in. And before you know it, with sheer grit and determination, I got that whole cart with the backhoe into the back of my Subaru Forester. All except for the part that didn't quite fit in there. So by then, I was in the driver's seat, and I was like, okay, take a breath. I kind of patted the backhoe reassuringly, and I took off. By then, Nate had gotten over his smothering, and he was yelling, "Yaya, are we still in the cart? The police are gonna get us. This is the most awful day of my whole life." And I'm just steady driving because I'm thinking about this hill that's ahead. When we got into my driveway, that cart was barely holding on, and so was I. Of course he wouldn't let me leave it out in the car, so I horsed that thing into the living room. And when John got home that night from working night shift, he saw this cart tipped over, the little boy asleep, clutching his backhoe, and his yaya next to him trying to pretend like she was asleep so she didn't have to explain the state of affairs. My backhoe boy, my Nate, is a teenager now. And due to a contentious and very complicated divorce, I have not been able to see him for 26 months. I hope that 12 years of memories like this one will bring us back together. And I can promise you that I will be waiting with open arms.
Diane, everybody.